Hey folks, Dennis here with Las Vegas Worm Farm and Living Soul Community. We were having a conversation in the community today, and somebody brought up a good question. They were talking about uh, nitrogen fixers. So let's dive into nitrogen fixers. And what we're talking about here, we're talking about plants and plants being able to fix nitrogen. Specifically, this individual had said that they were trying to um, get some nitrogen fixing occurring. So they were going to add a bunch of nitrogen fixing plants or cover crops to their garden to see if they can enhance the soil. Now, forgive me, I am going to take care of my nursery while I'm doing this. The nursery where the worms are at, of course. So, when we talk about nitrogen fixing plants, what we really need to understand is that a lot of these things are hype. And what I mean by that is the easiest way for me to explain this is in the world of diet and exercise, there's a lot of fads that are out there, right? The paleo diet, the carnivore diet, the Mediterranean diet, the keto diet, the Atkins diet, the you name it diet, bacon diet. It's all out there, right? And all of these are like kind of fads, right? Because at the end of the day, we all know that at the heart of it, it's eating right and exercise. That's what's going to get you to weight loss. These fads are quick fixes that might work, they might not work, but they really don't last a long time, right? So let's talk about nitrogen fixers. What are nitrogen fixers? Well, they're legumes, usually a type of bean or pea or something like that, that type of plant. And they're called nitrogen fixers because that's actually what they do in nature, right? They have the ability to be able to grab nitrogen out of the air, absorb it into their body, and then that is released, right? So all of this gets pushed out to us as gardeners as like the next best thing since sliced bread. Well, let me tell you this. The cool thing about nitrogen fixers is that they fix nitrogen, right? And they do it in their roots by creating nodules. And these nodules sometimes will have color in them and sometimes they will not. And that color could be anywhere from white, pink to red, which is indicating to us if they're going to be fixing nitrogen or not. Here's the crazy thing though. Sometimes we plant these legumes, right? Things like clover and all these other plants. And then when we go to see if they're fixing nitrogen, because you can see this in the root zone, they're not. There's no nodules on the roots, which means that they're not fixing nitrogen. So all these nitrogen fixers that we're buying and thinking that we're putting them in our garden or putting them in our, on our farms and thinking that they're going to fix nitrogen, and we yank them up and there's no nodules. There's no nitrogen fixing going on, guys. I guess, and gals. There's guys and gals on these calls, right? So, what are we getting sold hogwash? Is this real? Is it fake? Like, what's really going on here, right? Well, the science is real. I can tell you that because the plants actually do this. But the plants do it when they want to do it. They don't do it on command, and they don't always do it. Do you always go to the gym? Nope. Do I exercise sometimes? Yeah, a little less these days. I probably should get out there more, right? But these plants aren't always fixing nitrogen. They're not. They do it when they want to and when they need to. If they need nitrogen, guess what? They will start fixing nitrogen. If they don't need it, then they won't. If they are stressed out, guess what? They're not going to be fixing nitrogen, which means that if they're not healthy, right? If they don't have everything in the soil that they need, then they're not going to fix nitrogen. They're just not. If I'm stressed out, I'm not going to the gym. I'm going to go grab a nice burger or something that's soothing to me to make me feel better. Maybe grab a cup of ice cream, something like that, right? Same thing with the plants. When they're stressed out, they're not going to want to do these normal things. They want, something that is going to bring them a little bit of joy. And nitrogen fixing is work, and they don't want to do that. Also, crazy thing, if usually in agriculture, these big farms and stuff, they're testing their soils, right? So they know how much nitrogen they have, if they have enough, if they don't have enough, and all the parameters around that, right? Well, us as backyard gardeners, we usually don't ever, because it costs money, and it's not worth it to us, right? We just want to grow stuff. Whoops. How about that? The phone fell. Just try to set you guys back up here. All right. Us as backyard gardeners, we just don't, right? So, dag nabbit. Well, it's going to be that type of day, folks. It's going to be the drop it type of day where I keep dropping you guys. We'll see if we can get that kept. I'll kind of be careful. How about that? Now I'm not centered. All right. What were we talking about? Nitrogen fixers and how they don't behave the way we want them to because they're plants and they're going to do whatever they want to. Sounds a lot like me as a teenager, right? Well, the plants are a lot the same, are pretty much the same way. So, if you're looking at nitrogen fixers, they're not magical beans. Somebody brought that up in our community. They were like, I thought they were magical beans. Nope, they're not. There's no such thing. I mean, maybe there is. I just haven't ran across it. So if you guys know any magical growing beans out there that fix your soil, let me know. I'm happy to test it out and try it out. So, nitrogen fixing plants. Yeah, if there's enough nitrogen in the soil, they're not going to fix nitrogen. There's no reason to. They don't need it. Why would they do that if they don't need it? They're not going to exhibit the energy. So, when these big agricultural companies are testing their soils, and if they have enough nitrogen, there's really no reason to do nitrogen fixing. Nitrogen fixing plants, that is. So, another thing, if you rip your legumes out, that's a weird word to say, but whatever. When you rip those plants out and you check their roots and you're looking for nodules, you don't have any, it could be that maybe your soil has enough nitrogen in it already. And if it does, then plant's not going to fix nitrogen because it has enough. Actually, these are going to stay right here. So, here's the other thing. We talked about stress, and stress shows up in a bunch of different ways, right? It could be stress from the soil. It could be stress from the weather, the elements. It could be stress from a number of different reasons, different places. All of these things are going to affect how the plant is actually doing what it does, right? So, the only way we really know if there is nitrogen fixing occurring is to rip the plant out of the ground, which is going to cause it more stress. Probably don't want to do this with something that you're hoping to eat off of. So, but that is nitrogen fixing in a shell. There's no fancy pill, there's no magical thing, and at the end of the day, all of these things are really fads in the gardening world. Like, we jump on these things just like, we jump on these different diets, jump off, jump on, just because maybe it'll give us what we're looking for. At the end of the day, if you want healthy soil and healthy plants, you can put legumes in your soil, but if they don't have nodules, they're not going to fix nitrogen. And it goes back to the eat right and exercise. We need air, water, food, and microbes in the soil to get the plants to do what they want to, right? This is what we talk about in the Living Soil community, and this is what I preach to anybody that purchases worms from me at Las Vegas Worm Farm. It's nothing, I'm not pitching any fancy gizmos, gadgets, fads. This is science, and it's how Mother Nature does it. It's documented. I can show proof of all of these things in scientific articles and everything else. It's not fancy. It's not cool. It's boring. But it works. But just like everything in life, like a healthy diet and exercise, the weight's not going to come off like that. It's not like a low carb diet where if you go on a low carb diet, all of a sudden the pounds just melt away. The problem is that low carb diet's not really sustainable, right? Now, for people who have diet issues or have like specialized diets, they need that to be able to live. Yes, that's sustainable for them. But for the rest of us, at some point, we're going to have ice cream. At some point, we're going to get off of whatever that diet is, right? And we're going to be like, okay, I'm going to go back to normal. And the same thing for all of these fads that are coming in to the gardening community, or that they're just there in general, right? Doesn't matter. Nitrogen fixers, biochar, what else is out there? I don't know. Bugs in a jug. What I mean by that, y'all know what bugs in a jug are. But that, like all of these things, right, that are thrown at us like these magical fixes. They're not. They're not. At the end of the day, what you really need is a healthy soil system, a living soil, a soil food web, something that acts and mimics the way Mother Nature does, and that will get you where you want to be. You want to garden less? You probably want to garden more so you can grow stuff, but you want to work less in the garden? You want to water less? You just want healthy plants? Well, then you should probably just go about it the organic way. We're going to turn this guy off because it's probably loud. That guy's got to stay on. But there's no quick fixes. There's nothing fancy here, guys. We're just mimicking what Mother Nature does naturally in our own growing situations, and that's going to get us the healthy plants and the healthy soil so that we can work less and just enjoy our plants, right? That's at the end of the day, that's all we really want. We want a garden. We want flowers. I want a lawn. I want, my my fruits and veggies and trees all to do great. But if I follow these fads and I think that there's these magical things that are just going to make things happen in a month or 2 months or 3 months, maybe, but it's not sustainable. It's not going to last in the long run. And at the end of the day, it's probably going to cost you more money to do those things that you're going to have to keep doing, which means that you spend more money. And we already know that a lot of people spend a lot of money to buy one organic or to grow one organic tomato, right? So, can you do these things? Absolutely. Do they work? Yeah, some of them do. But there's no magical bean. There's no magical nitrogen fixer that's going to fix your soil. There's no magical microbe. It's all about diversity and bringing more things to the table. The more things you add to your soil, the better it's going to get. Whether that's, food scraps or landscape waste or chop and drop, or if you're adding worm castings or compost or your neighbor's compost or worm castings from a neighbor down the street. When you're adding all this stuff to your soil, you're creating a feast for everybody. It's kind of like Thanksgiving. That's how I like to relate to it. The more things that are on the table, the better the chances are that everybody that shows up for Thanksgiving is going to be happy. If you've only got turkey and stuffing and mashed potatoes, somebody's not going to like turkey. Somebody's not going to like mashed potatoes. So they're not going to be happy. And the same thing goes for your soil. If you're only adding certain things to your soil, your plants aren't going to always be happy. They're going to be missing out on things. So diversity is the key to keeping things going and keeping things happy and growing a living soil. And these are the things that we talk about in the community. So thanks for listening to me, chat. Hopefully that made sense. Hopefully it wasn't too much rambling. All right, we'll see you on the next one. Bye.